It is Monday, October the 10th. There we go. We got our new studio kind of sort of set up, so here we are. We're going to talk a little bit about week number 5 in the NFL. Thank you so much for joining me. It is Monday, October 10th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Really nice afternoon here in Indianapolis, sunny. We are coming to you live from the basement. We have a new studio set up down here, so hopefully the sounds okay. We'll keep working with the lighting, put our bookcase up, and I think we're ready to roll. So thank you so much for joining me. We're going to get right into all the action from a busy week number 5 in the NFL. Over in London, the Giants win 27-22. The Packers really jumped off to a huge lead and then it kind of just fell apart. Defense was letting Saquon and the boys from New York kind of roll all over them. It was a very, very disappointing ending, obviously, for the Packers. Had a chance at a 70-yard Hail Mary, strip sack, game over. Giants win. Giants are 4-1. Packers are 3-2. If you look at the stats, 6 of 11 third down for New York, 4 for 10 for Green Bay. Rushing yards, 125 for New York, 94 for Green Bay. They also got stuck at the 2-yard line. Internally, it sounds like there are some kind of frustrations coming. Oh, excuse me. Oh, my gosh. Whoa. Anyway, Jones and Dillon both wanted the ball at the end. They said that they could score from the 2-yard line with 4 chances. They did not get that opportunity. There you go. Stinks. At the 2-yard line, an NFL team did not run the ball. They threw the ball. Aaron Rodgers, the 2-time MVP, he had the ball in his hands. There's questions now about some of the receivers out there. 13 carries for Jones for 63, 6 for Dillon for 34. That's 19 between them. That's not enough. They need to run the ball more. Saquon on the other side, 13 for 70. Jones, 10 for 37. Jones played well, 21 of 27, 217 yards, no picks. So a big win for the Giants, 4-1. What a huge win for them over in London. That place was packed full of Packers fans. And, the Giants actually had more passing yards net. Rodgers had 222. Jones had 217. But Cobb with a huge game, 7 receptions, 99 yards. The Giants just did enough on defense to make those stops as they needed them. So what a big win for the New York Giants over in London. Pittsburgh went to Buffalo and 38-3, and it wasn't even this close. Pittsburgh stinks, 1-4. Their defense cannot stop anybody. TJ Watt, I know he just got a new deal, but man, if he went in there and said, I want the team, they probably listened to him. They cannot put pressure on the quarterback. Their secondary is awful. Josh Allen just had a field day. 20 of 31, 424. He had 300 yards in the first half, 4 touchdowns. Singletary, 6 rushes for 42. Allen, 5 for 42. They were just throwing the ball all over the place. 5 of 9 on third down. Pittsburgh, 5 of 15 on third down. Kenny Pickett, 34 of 52, 327 yards. 52 passes from a Steelers team. That is awful. Najee Harris, 11 carries for 20. Terrible. The Steelers are just not good. They're just not good right now. They need to get some people back healthy, but that offensive line stinks. The defensive line stinks. The secondary stinks. It was a rough game for Pittsburgh. Buffalo's 4-1. They're rolling. They are the team that everybody thought that they would be. And frankly, 38-3, and it wasn't even that close. It was not close. Pittsburgh was just not in it from the very beginning. Buffalo started strong, put the hammer down, and they just cruised to victory. So 4-1 Bills, 1-4 Steelers. I don't know where the Steelers go from here. They've got Kenny Pickett. You're going to continue to play him because you're just going to see what you got. But ultimately, that team needs a lot of work. And, I guess it starts with getting TJ Watt back, right? He is one that he's really got to he's got to get healthy. He's got to get healthy, and then kind of, from there, hopefully the defense kind of meshes around him. But what an absolute beatdown by Buffalo. Chargers at Cleveland, 30-28. They get the win. They're 3-2. Browns are 2-3. The Browns started off 14-0. Here we go. Let's keep it moving. But Justin Herbert and the boys came back. Austin Eckler, huge game, 16 rushes, 173 yards, a touchdown, 71 on the long for the run. Nick Chubb, 17 for 134. He did everything he could. Third downs, both teams kind of stunk. 3 for 10 for the Chargers, 4 for 10 for Cleveland. Brissett threw for 230, a pick and a touchdown. Turnovers, the Browns had one. The Chargers had none. And really, the Chargers just played better throughout. Williams, 10 catches, 134 yards for the Chargers. Passing yards were really relatively close. Rushing was relatively close. The big turnover. What else? The Browns were 0 for 2 with field goals. That was huge, where the Chargers went 3 for 3. So a big win for the Chargers on the road. They get to 3-2. That's a must-needed win for them. Cleveland at 2-3. I mean, luckily they're not going to be in last place because the Steelers stink, but they're going to be close. And they're just treading water till Deshaun Watson comes back to see what happens there. Houston at Jacksonville. I cannot even believe that this happened. Houston 13, Jacksonville 6. Pierce, 26 rushes, 99 yards, and a touchdown for Houston. Travis Etienne, 10 for 71. Trevor Lawrence, 286 and 2 picks. Davis Mills, 16 of 24, 140, nothing crazy. Just kind of a boring game. 5 for 13 on third down for Houston, 6 of 14 for Jacksonville. Jacksonville had 2 turnovers. Houston had none. Both were 2 for 2 with field goals. Houston played smarter, right? I mean, 2 bad interceptions for Trevor Lawrence. Houston gets the win. They improved to 3-1. Jacksonville's at 2-3. Jacksonville was that team that we thought going into Philadelphia, do they have a chance to actually take down Philly, get the win, and see what happens with that? And ultimately, here they are at 13-6 in a bad shape. They're in a bad spot. So they're 2-3. Texans are 1-3-1. The AFC South is just an absolute disaster. Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota did what they needed to do, 29-22 with the win. Dalvin Cook, 18-94 and 2 touchdowns. Montgomery did play for the Bears, 12-20 and a touchdown. Justin Fields just runs for his life every play, 208 yards and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins, 296, a touchdown and a pick. Jefferson is a dog, 12 catches, 154 yards. They just did what they needed to do, right? Each team had a turnover. Rushing yards, this is the story right here. Minnesota 117, Chicago 78. Passing yards, 312 for Minnesota, 193 for Chicago. So that Minnesota defense stepped up. Kirk Cousins did not play crazy good or crazy bad. I don't trust him. That's why I have hesitations with Minnesota and how far they can go. But with Jefferson, with Thielen, with Cook, with those guys, you are automatically in every game. So a big win by Minnesota. 4-1. The Minnesota Vikings. How about that? Kevin O'Connell with this offense spreads it around, throws it around, threw 41 times. I think they'd probably like to rush a little bit more than that. Cook had 18. Madison had 9. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. 4 for 10 on third down for Chicago, 12 of 15 for Minnesota. How about that? A lot of those third downs were short, intermediate, where they actually were able to complete them. So they go to 4-1. The Bears at 2-3. They got to get. It's going to be the same story all year. They just can't protect Fields, and he's running for his life, and they're in tough spots all the time. They can't run the ball, and they're always behind the sticks. Detroit at New England. I'm shocked at this. New England 2-3. Detroit 1-4 after a 29-0 beatdown by Pat the Patriot in New England. Zappi, the rookie, played 17-21, 188 yards, touchdown and a pick. Jared Goff, 229 and a pick. Williams for Detroit, 15 for 56. Stevenson, 25 for 161 for New England. They just did everything that they needed to do. They were 3 of 9 on third downs. Detroit was 4 of 12. They forced Detroit into 2 turnovers. They only had 1. Rushing yards, 176 for New England, 101 for Detroit. They didn't pass the ball. They just played really smart, methodical offense and really did everything they needed to do to force those turnovers, play field position, and here we go. So it's a 29-0 win. 5 field goals. 5 field goals pretty much got the job done for New England, and they improved to 2-3. Detroit at 1-4. So we'll see what happens with New England. They're just kind of treading water, right, until Mac Jones comes back, and they appear to be doing well with it. So big win for them. Seattle goes to New Orleans. New Orleans wins 39-32 in a really explosive, high-scoring game. Taysom Hill with 3 touchdowns, 9 rushes for 112. Kamara, 23 for 103. On the other side, the rookie Walker with 88 yards and a touchdown. How about Geno Smith, 286 and 3 touchdowns. Dalton, 187, a touchdown, and a pick. So if you look at third down, Seattle was dreadful, 1 for 9. Seattle was 8 for 14. All these games we're talking about, the team that's better at third down winning most of these games, right? Turnovers, Seattle had 2. I'm sorry, Seattle had 1, New Orleans had 2. Good field goal kicking. Offensive plays, 74 for New Orleans, 49 for Seattle. So the time of possession was definitely in their favor, 37 minutes to 22. New Orleans just kind of dominated this. But Seattle kept it close. They had a chance at the end, and New Orleans got a couple first downs, and it's 39-32 victory. They're at 2-3. Seahawks are at 2-3. Both these teams are just kind of going kind of how we would, right? I think New Orleans can be better than this. Everybody just keeps saying, wait for famous Jameis. I don't know what to say with that. I mean, I think he's going to be fine, and he's going to be their quarterback. They're not going to stick with Andy Dalton the rest of the season. But, I think it is something where, at least they're winning. I mean, I picked Seattle. I thought that Kamara would have a big game, but ended up being Taysom Hill. 3 touchdowns, 112 rushing yards for him. So a big game. Chris Olave did leave with a concussion for the Saints, so we'll monitor that. Jets 40-17 over Miami. Miami got all the way down to the third-string quarterback with Thompson. Bridgewater was kind of at the mercy of this new, concussion rule. The Jets go to 3-2. The Dolphins at 3-2 as well. Zach Wilson, a great game. 14-21, 210 yards. Hill, 97 yards and a touchdown. Carter, 21 yards and a touchdown, or 2 touchdowns. If you really look at it, it was one of those things where the Dolphins turned it over twice. They were close in the third quarter, and then they made some mistakes. The Jets got the ball, scored a couple touchdowns, and this one was over. 2 turnovers for Miami, none for the Jets. Third down, 4 for 11, Miami, 5 for 11, the Jets. Offensive plays, actually Miami had more. Miami had more rushing yards. Jets had a little bit more passing. So this was a really close game. Those turnovers were really the killer. So the Jets with a big win at home. Will monitor Bridgewater. They're monitoring Tua. Tyreek Hill had his foot in a boot afterwards as well. So we'll see there. Monster with a big rushing game, 113 yards and a touchdown. So a very good performance out of Miami. And like I said, this was close in the third quarter, and all of a sudden the Jets kind of took control, put the hammer down, and they finished the game out. 40-17, they go to 3-2. Whoa, kicking the camera. They go to 3-2 on the season, as the Dolphins are at 3-2 as well. Okay, Tampa Bay hosted Atlanta. Everybody's seen the pass interference call. Everybody's seen what went on there. The Falcons were up by 6. The Buccaneers were driving, got to an incomplete pass. Tom Brady got tackled. They called a roughing the passer. It really wasn't roughing the passer. Buccaneers go down, score the game, boom, game over, and call it a day. Bucs are 3-2. Falcons are 2-3. Leonard Fournette, 56 yards and a touchdown. Brady, 35-52, 351 and a touchdown. Mariota, 147 yards and a touchdown. He actually ran for 61 yards as well. Algier, 13 attempts for 45. Leonard Fournette, 10 catches out of the backfield for Tampa Bay. 6 of 14 for Atlanta, 9 of 16 for Tampa Bay. So really strong offenses for both teams. No turnovers in the game. The passing yards were just absolutely different, right? 147 for Atlanta, 351 for Tampa. Total plays, 75 for Tampa, 61 for Atlanta. That's huge, just 14 plays. Even though the time of possession was more for Atlanta, Tampa Bay had way more plays to have opportunities there. Atlanta had more rushing yards, almost by 100, close to 90, but then the passing yards Tampa Bay controlled. So Tampa Bay with a big win, good, solid defense. Their pass defense was amazing. Winfield and the bunch were really, really good in the secondary. They're 3-2. Atlanta is at 2-3. Tennessee at Washington. Oh my! You saw everything with Carson Wentz, didn't you? 2 touchdowns, a pick, 359 yards passing. Tannehill 181 and a touchdown. Derrick Henry over 100 yards with 2 touchdowns. This game was ugly. Tennessee kind of drove it down there in the fourth quarter, got the win. 4-14 for Tennessee, 1 for 11 with Washington. Carson Wentz's decision-making is just not at an NFL level. It is a backup role. He, like this, can throw for 356 yards and 2 touchdowns, but then he throws a pick and 2 or 3 other passes that you're like, what on earth are we doing here? So he is continued to be questionable. He saw everything from him, really. Offensive plays, 62 and 58, pretty close. 105 rushing yards for Tennessee. Washington had no rush game for 43 yards, but flip it, 136 passing yards for Tennessee, 342 for Washington. They had a turnover. Tennessee didn't. Back and forth. At the end of the day, Washington could not stop Henry and the Tennessee rush game. And when Washington needed yards and first downs, they didn't get them. So big win by Tennessee, 3-2. They're first in the division. Washington at 1-4 is in a bad division to not be very good because that division's really solid. San Francisco, the first of the 4 o'clock games. San Francisco 37-15 over Carolina. Carolina's Matt Rule was fired today, so this was his last time donning the sidelines for the Panthers. 1-4 on the season. The 49ers are at 3-2. Mayfield is expected to be out a few weeks with his injury. We'll see what happens there. 215 yards and a pick. Jimmy G just nice and solid, right? 253 and 2 touchdowns. Wilson for 17 yards, 120 yards, rushing on a touchdown. Coleman, 23 and a touchdown. McCaffrey, 54 yards and a touchdown. He's got to get that ball more, right? 7 catches for 50 yards, but just never got him involved. Third down, 7-12 for San Francisco. That's good. 3-15 for Carolina. That's awful. Offensive plays, 61-65, really close. Rushing yards, 153 for San Francisco, 64 for Carolina. So San Francisco is running the ball, owning the clock. Carolina can't stop them, and then they can't run when they have the ball. Passing yards, tied 244 apiece. So Jimmy G did what he needed to do. Turnovers, 1 apiece on each team. So at the end of the day, 5 touchdowns for San Francisco, 1 for Carolina, and here we are, 37-15. And what really did Matt Rule in? He could never find a quarterback. He was given a ton of control, and that roster just isn't very good. Good receivers. McCaffrey being hurt didn't help him. The secondary was fine. Couldn't get the pass rush, especially yesterday. And really, it's just one of those things where he just didn't get the job done. So we'll see. They also fired their defensive coordinator as well. So 49ers at 3-2, Panthers at 1-4, looking really rough. There's a report out there that people already call in to see what players are available for trade. Eagles undefeated at Arizona, 20-17. I'm telling you what, Arizona cannot start a game. Them and my Colts are terrible at starting games. So Carolina's at 2-3. The Eagles are at 5-0. Excuse me, 6 of 13 for Philadelphia on third downs. Arizona's 8 for 14. Offensive plays, 71-69. Rushing yards were very, very close. Passing yards, actually Arizona had more, but Jalen Hurts made more plays when he needed to. He actually ran for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. They controlled the game when they needed to. No turnovers out of them. A pick from Kyler Murray. I still feel like their offense is just all over the place, and that's probably a part of Hopkins not being there. I think that he continues to be that number 1 guy that they need. When he's not in, their offense is just really, really struggling and really kind of all over the place. So time of possession, 34 minutes for Philly, 25 for Arizona. Rushing yards, 139 to 124. Philly just got it done when they needed to. This Arizona team started off hot last year, undefeated. When Hopkins got hurt, they kind of went all over the place. Same thing this year. They can't find any sort of rhythm. They had Rondale Moore back, 7 catches for 68. Brown, 8 catches for 78 and a touchdown. Connor with 55 yards. He was dinged up. They just can't get anything going on offense. And you got to ask yourself, if you're a Cardinals fan, is Kyler Murray the guy? I know that he's locked up and he's your guy and he's supposed to study and all this stuff, but I don't know. It's really a big question out there, the coach and the quarterback. But at 2-3, they're still in it. The Dallas Cowboys go to LA 22-10. They pretty much dominate. Their defense just absolutely shut down Stafford. Micah Parsons is an absolute beast. He is an animal. Diggs played really well. That 1-2 punch of running the ball with Pollard and Elliott was absolutely amazing. They had 163 yards rushing. The Rams had 38. And then you flip it. The passing yards, they didn't really throw it that much. They threw for 102 yards. Stafford did throw for 308, pick and a touchdown. Cooper Kupp had 7 catches, 125 and a touchdown. Really, really long touchdown. Really cool. Great catch. 5 of 15 third downs for Dallas. 5 of 17 for LA. 64 plays for LA, 53 for Dallas. So if you really look at it, 3 turnovers for the Rams, none for the Cowboys. Cowboys defense just got after it. The question is going to be when Dak comes back, are you going to keep the same offense? Are you going to keep this whole run, and then short, methodical, smart passes? Or are you going to let it free like you did with Dak and have him throw a ball 60 times a game and then rush it only 10 or 15? You need to keep it with this. 30 rushes for Pollard and Elliott for 163 yards and a touchdown. That's what you need to do to win the game. Their defense is Super Bowl quality. It's their offense. Can their offense let them continue to stay in games and let their defense make plays? So Rams are 2-3. Cowboys are 4-1. A game back from the Eagles. And next week we got a big game with Cowboys and Eagles playing against each other. And then last night, 19-17, Justin Tucker with a walk-off field goal. Lamar, 174 yards passing, a touchdown and a pick. 58 yards rushing. Mixon, 78 yards rushing for the Bengals. 217, a touchdown and a pick for Burrow. Andrews, 8 catches, 89 yards and a touchdown. Hurst, 6 catches, 53 and a touchdown for your Bengals. Chase, 7 for 50. Excuse me. 4 of 10 on third down for Cincinnati. 5 of 11 for Baltimore. Offensive plays were really, really close. Rushing yards, Baltimore had 155 and Cincinnati had 101. So more rushing yards, more of those were Dobbins, 8 for 44, but Lamar just kind of making plays with his legs. The passing yards were really close, 190, 170. Both teams had a turnover. At the end of the day, both of these teams are very, very even. The time of possession was even. The plays were very close, 59-61. So a very, very a very, very interesting game for both teams. The Ravens are 3-2. The Bengals are 2-3. The Bengals took the lead late, and then Justin Tucker, all you have to do is get on that side of the field, and he kicked like we talked about, a fantastic field goal to get the win, and they improved to 3-2 as the Bengals are at 2-3. So right now we've got Monday Night Football coming up. We have got, let's take a look here. Where are we at? Here we go. Monday Night Football, we've got the Raiders and the Chiefs. Let's dig into that one real quick. This one's at Kansas City, 3-1 Chiefs, 1-3 Raiders, 8:15 tonight on ESPN. Okay. Last week, the Raiders got a win over Denver, 32-23. Chiefs got a win 41-31 over Tampa Bay, threw the ball all over the place. The Raiders at 1-3. They are 24 points a game, letting up 25. Kansas City's at 32 a game, letting up 24. The only mark on the Chiefs is a loss here in Indianapolis, where they had the game won, but had a personal foul call, put the Colts in first down situation and able to go win the game. The Chiefs came back last week to beat, the Raiders came back last week to beat Denver for their first win. It's going to be Monday night. It's going to be crazy. The Chiefs fans are going to be out. They're going to be ready. They're going to feel that kind of blood in the water right away. These two teams hate each other. The question is going to be, can the Raiders offensive line give Jacobs enough time to find a hole, give Carr enough time to find Adams and Hollins and Renfro and all the Waller, all that talent that they have? Can the Raiders offensive line hold up? because the Chiefs are going to come. They're going to bring the blitz. They're going to bring exotic blitzes. Everybody knows that. They're going to come from all over the place to make you the ball get out of your hand in a really, really quick manner. Last week against Tampa, they kind of confused Tom Brady. Tom Brady's offensive line was awful, and they made him pay for it. The Raiders' offensive line started off good, we thought, even though they lost games, and they kind of been all over the place. So we'll see if they hold up. And then on the other side, Patrick Mahomes is going to be magic. We all know that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is back there. Kelsey, Juju Smith-Schuster has played really, really well recently. Can the Raiders' defensive line get after Mahomes, and can their secondary hold up? I don't think they can. I think the Chiefs win the game. I think that they win relatively easy. Let's take a look and see what the spread is real quick before we wrap it up. But Monday night at Kansas City, the Chiefs need this one in a bad way. The Chiefs are 7-point favorites. I would take the Chiefs. 51.5 point is the over-under. I would take the over on that. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to absolutely steamroll them, run them out of the building, and I think that their offense is too good, and I think their pass rush is going to get all over Las Vegas. So if that holds true, 4-1 Chiefs, 1-4 Raiders. That's not exactly where they thought they would be after they made this change. They brought Josh McDaniels in. They're supposed to have this cool, exotic offense, and Derek Carr has done okay, just nothing spectacular. So we'll see what happens tonight later on Monday Night Football. But that's really it. That's our recap. Matt Rule is out with the Panthers, so is the defensive coordinator. A lot of the injuries are starting to come out from the games from yesterday, so maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll recap what happened last night in Arrowhead, but then we'll also talk about some of the injuries looking into Week 6. So thank you so much for joining me. We really appreciate it. Comment below, who do you think is going to win, Chiefs or Raiders? Who do you got? I think the Chiefs big. I think the Raiders might stick around for a minute or two, but the Chiefs are too good. The Chiefs have Super Bowl aspirations. These are the games, if you want to go win the title, these are the games that you take care of really quick. It's a division game. It's at home. It's prime time. It's going to be electric. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow to talk about what happened tonight. Take care, and we'll talk to you later.